Okay. All right. We're live. So, okay. I'm just gonna, you know what? Normally I wait until a couple of people to start trickling in here. I think we're just gonna get right into it. I think that'll be better for those who are going to watch the recording of this. First of all, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Livesteam live stream podcast. I am your host, Clint Brantley, aka the Steam King. This is a channel where we discuss anything and everything Steam related, whether it be HO scale from O scale, or in today's case, we're going into the virtual world and we're going to be talking about V scale today. This is a topic that I am not very well versed in. I actually don't know a lot about V-scaling or train simulator or train sims in general. So I decided to bring on an expert today. I have, as many of you will know who have been here on these podcasts for the last few weeks, I have a series of experts that frequent my chat during the live streams. And today I have brought on one of my regulars, my homie Cam, aka the Arctic Gamer, who's very well versed in train simulators. He's been doing this for several years now. He's got a wide range of knowledge on the various different sims, and basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring him on today to talk about really how to get into train simulator, because for someone who has been interested in train sims for a few years but never had the chance to really jump in because it seems quite frankly overwhelming. There's so many different train simulators, and especially when you start getting into things like mods and all that, it can just be very confusing. So we're going to bring him on today to kind of break it down piece by piece and give everyone who's curious about train simulators kind of a good introduction so they can get their feet on the ground and get started into it. Cam, get in here, bro.
How's it going, man?
What's up, bro? Are you ready to get into all the good things about train sim?
Yeah. So let's just get right into it.
Real quick. So yeah, I want to ask you first of all, what exactly is train simulator?
What is train simulator? Oh, good question. Starting off strong. Train simulating is on the most basic fundamental level, it's train video games.
Okay.
Is what it is. It is software that tries to simulate or emulate components of railroading, in part or in whole, depending on the sim. And it's often, you've heard me use the term V-scale before. It's kind of an outdated term now, but basically what that describes is it describes a sub-community within train simulating that basically use train simulators as a substitute for model railroading.
I see. And so basically anybody that doesn't have the ability to have a kind of layout in their home, even if N-scale is something that's kind of impractical, this is a good way to kind of just get your train itch scratched, I suppose.
Exactly. And that's where I started is I've always been into trains since I was a little kid. Like my mom has told me stories of how I used to like point to pictures of trains on the wall and stuff, and I would be really fascinated by them. My love of train simulators started way back when I was like 5 or 6. My grandma got me a VHS of Last of the Giants, and I'm sure that's a name that has started many an obsession. But I always wanted to get into model trains, and I never could because I've always kind of lived not on the poverty line, but not exactly in a position where my mom can be spending $200-300 on model train locomotives for Christmas presents.
Right. So how long so you've been doing train sim for how long?
I've been doing it since probably about 2007, 2008.
Okay.
My first serious simulator was a few years later, though. I started with Trains 2009 in about 2010. And I've been pretty much a constant member of the community since then. So since I was 10 years old.
See, that's one thing I wanted to point out too, is that I've kind of been on the outskirts of the train sim community. Like I've seen some people like they have like Thomas the Tank Engine mods. Like I've seen that. I've seen some people like recreate the entire island of Sodor, which I thought was freaking insane. I've seen
I don't even know how you do that. Do you, is there enough source material, or
so I guess they basically look at there's maps, right? So I guess the Reverend Audrey had maps laid out for the Railway series when he wrote the books, and then they take those and then they overlap those with the TV series, right? Yeah. And the models and sets from the TV series, and they just map out the track work and all the major destinations, and they kind of fill out the blanks in between.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I've dipped my toe into that sort of thing. My current projects are a term. I'm just going to borrow a term from model railroading. Proto-lanced. I take the landscape and the general locations of towns and stuff, and I kind of bend them to my will and make a new railroad out of nothing.
I see. So real quick, I want to mention this to anybody either watching the recording or watching live. I'm in the background while Cam's talking. I'm going to have a few different videos I've had in my library over the years of just some train sim stuff going on in the background, just for a little visual aid, you know. The gentleman who does this on his channel, his name is Matt Plays TV. If you guys want to check him out, you can see his channel down here, left hand corner. But I just want to give any content creators that I put their stuff on the channel, I want to give them credit for. And then I think Cam is also going to have some clips that he's going to show us later on too. Anyway, all right, yeah, Cam.
I've got a lot of YouTubers that I follow that do this. If you're interested in the content creation side of train simulators, especially like kind of like emulating model railroading, I cannot recommend Approach Medium like more. Like he does the best route making on the site, in my opinion. So that's the I just recognized that route. That's a workshop route.
You talking about the one that I'm playing on my screen right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at the stream right now. That's a really good route.
Yeah, I came across this guy's channel a few years ago, and I was really interested in the different routes that he was playing on.
That's what that one is.
But yeah, this guy's got some really good content for train sim. But anyway, let's kind of go over the basics. Let's kind of get into how a person can get into train sim. So you kind of explained what train sim is. So to start us off, where do you think is a good place for a person to start? What should we know just kind of getting into Train Simulator off the jump?
Well, I would recommend looking into and I'm going to go into the simulators and their differences in a little bit, but I would recommend looking into what simulators are and what they offer for you, and really thinking about what it is you want to do. Do you want to simulate mainline heavy hauling, like railroading, or do you want to run a little model train? There are some sims that bridge that do both fairly well. There are some that do one really well and don't really even do the other.
So I guess for someone like me, for example, let me give you an example, right? So if I want to play train sim, I'm not necessarily at first, maybe I don't want to do it necessarily for just prototypical operation. I kind of want to do it to just be able to kick back, relax, and enjoy like a really cool route, right? Just to kind of maybe drive my favorite steam locomotive and go down a really cool route. What would you recommend for someone who's just trying to do that? I think that might be also a good place for people to start that just aren't used to it.
I think the best starting place, a lot of people are going to say Train Sim 2021, because that's the one that's on Steam, and that's the one that everybody sees on YouTube videos and stuff. But my recommendation would actually be a program called Open Rails.
Suck it up.
It's a freeware open source program. Openrails.com, something like that. I'm typing
in Open Rails Train Simulator right now.
And if you've ever heard of Microsoft Train Simulator, basically what Open Rails attempts to do, and well, it does very successfully, is provide a a new modern simulator to run the old content for MSTS, because there is a huge backlog of content
So
for that game.
so MSTS, you got to break
Um,
it down for those of us who are trying to keep up. So MSTS is what
yeah,
now?
MSTS. MSTS was the first popular train simulator. It was released all the way back in 2001.
Mhm.
I was literally an infant at that time, so I missed the MSTS craze. But a lot of my contemporaries in the train sim community, even to this day, started with MSTS way back decades ago. Um, and because it's the oldest and for many years was the most popular, it has by far the most content. Yeah, that video there, Monon wrote, that's, if I were to recommend one route to start with, it would be the Monon route. The Monon route is a free route for a free simulator, and
So
it is, as you can see, it is a very high quality route.
so real quick. So when you say route, explain what that means.
Well, a route is a railroad. It's a model railroad equivalent term would be a layout. It's basically a virtual layout.
Okay.
It's the route on which the trains drive.
And so how do you get the routes? Do they come preloaded into the games, or do you have to go and download them?
Every simulator comes with a selection of pre-installed routes.
Mhm.
Train Sim, I'm just going to call it Railworks because it's easier. Railworks is the name that Train Simulator 2021 used to have back in about 2012-ish,
I remember
in their first
Railworks.
versions.
Did
And
you
then
ever, real quick, did you ever get those little magazines in the mail that used to have like tons of like model railroad product, or this railroad product in general? They had all the tapes, all the DVDs, all the little coffee mugs, like all that stuff, and even they even had like the train games. Did you ever get those as a kid?
No,
Well, they used to. So they used to come out with these magazines like twice a year,
I
right?
never
Once
heard
in
of
the
that.
spring, and then once right before Christmas. And they would send them to your house. Like if you were subscribed to Classic Toy Trains or something, you would normally you would be on the mailing list, and they would send you these out too. But they had, I remember, I actually still have some of those magazines. I wish I'd have brought them with me on stream, but they used to have a lot of those. Oh, I remember Railworks and the original Microsoft trains being advertised in those magazines.
Yeah. Um, Railworks, they dropped the title Railworks and just went with Train Simulator, which in my opinion is kind of shady because as like I've got a list of 5 or 6 simulators here just on my notes, and those are just the relevant ones to this conversation. There are more obscure ones that you can find on like iOS and stuff too.
Right.
For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to be talking about PC. So if anybody watching after the stream is done is wondering, are any of these on console? Are any of these available for mobile? No, and there never will be. It's the programming is just too complicated, and there are too many variables with the content. It really wouldn't be feasible. There have been attempts to bring simulating to console, and very well could happen in the near future, especially with the new generation that look really good. But for now, all of the simulators are on PC, and that's how it's going to stay. I don't think any of them have any plans of going to console.
Right. And so basically, but the one that you're recommending for people to start out with is MSTS Train Simulator.
Well, you can't get MSTS anymore. That's the main reason for Open Rails existence, is because it was only ever sold on CD.
I see.
And they stopped making the CDs quite a few years ago. So it's actually a legal copy of MSTS is really hard to come by nowadays. You basically have to look on eBay, and the bidding wars can be pretty intense for them, I hear. But the nice thing is because Open Rails is there, unless it's a really obscure route that for some reason doesn't work on Open Rails, there really isn't much of a reason not to just get Open Rails. In my case, I wanted to experience both, so I have a pirated copy of MSTS. I don't think anyone's going to complain because, I mean, they literally won't sell it anymore. So
Right.
if I could buy it, I would, but can't.
But what's the one that you're recommending for newbies to download is what? again?
Open Rails.
Open Rails.
The game you were showing on your screen right
Okay.
now. The locomotives and the content is my connection still good here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, the stream's just frozen here. The content on that route there is payware. It's from a site called well, not anymore. It's called Valley Pass now. It used to be called Bellinger Locomotive Works. Really high quality stuff, but also premium stuff.
Mm-hmm. So basically, so if someone wants to get into train sim, you want to download Open Rails, and then that will come with a few set routes already, right?
No, because it's open source. I don't think it actually comes with any. I don't think it comes with any routes, but there are a plethora of free routes that you can find online. This route is one. The Monon route is on, I believe, trainsim.com, if I remember correctly. Throw a link to that.
So where do you? Okay, so let me ask you this question: where do you go to download Open Rails?
I'm pretty sure it's just on their site. Let me look this up.
Oh, openrails.org. I see right here in this guy's description. Looks like.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Totally free software. Wow. Okay. New to Open Rails, this starter kit is for you. Quickest way to get started with Open Rails. Well, chat. Hey, what's up, Kyle? What's going on? Randall, I see you out here. Let's see. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best way to looks like to download Open Rails. So, openrails.org. You can even go on this channel. So this is World of, okay, I guess this is their YouTube page, World of Open Rails.
Yeah, they've got if you want to see what kind of content's available for Open Rails, and like what the community is sort of experiencing, that page, that YouTube page, World of Open Rails, is a good place to look at, because the world part of the name is pretty accurate. They have stuff from like the Czech Republic. They've got stuff from all over the U.S. It's a very broad selection of content that they display and they do a very good job of just showing the trains and the routes with no commentary.
I see. And so because the software is so old, there's been a bunch of people that have been able to, I guess, modify it and add routes for years then, right? Yeah,
because now Open Rails is quite a few years old now, I believe. I think it's something like 6 or 7 years old. And MSTS is going to be turning 20 really soon.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of content, free and paid.
So back in the,
I don't have a whole lot of stuff to recommend, because this sim is a little bit older than what I do. I mostly play Trains and Train Sim 2021.
Right, but you're saying this is a good place to start.
It's a good place to start. It also, this thing will run on like a literal toaster. Like it does not need anything, because it's still pretty much the same fundamental core software as 2001.
So basically, this is someone that took the software from the CD-ROM, and then people have just been kind of building onto it.
It's apparently it's an entirely new sim, with an entirely new physics engine and all of that good stuff, but it works flawlessly with any MSTS content.
Okay.
But I personally, when my computer crapped out a couple years ago, I found myself having addiction-esque withdrawals of Train Simulator, and I really needed my fix, but I could not run any of my simulators without literally crashing my computer.
Mm-hmm.
And Open Rails really saved me, because I could still run a lot of good content on there that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to without that sim.
And so these games, are they multiplayer at all, or is this just kind of solo play?
And they kind of aren't. Open Rails does have multiplayer support. I haven't experienced it, so I can't comment on its quality.
But
I have heard that it does have multiplayer.
But some of the other train sims do, though, don't they? They have a multiplayer capability. So
I've trains railroad simulator since Trains 2012, which is, God, now that's almost 10 years old. Man, I'm old. Since about Trains 2012, they've had multiplayer support. The problem is you can't use any third-party content, and I believe you also can't use any paidware content like DLC for the game. So you're really limited on what you can do on the multiplayer side.
Let me ask you this question: how does multiplayer work? Like, you just load onto a map, everyone's got a train, and then you just follow the signal codes and just try not to crash into somebody else's train, basically.
Well, as far as I'm aware, unless it's run 8, it has to be on a preloaded. I'm gonna get into run 8 later. It has to be a preloaded session with its own parameters and rules and rolling stock setup. So
it's kind of like a private server, basically. You get invited on, and then you it's like an op session, basically, for like a model railroad.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. It's basically virtual op sessions. So they don't happen a lot, and you're gonna see like a maximum of maybe 10 or 20 people there.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Like maximum, like the most I've ever had in a game like with me was, I think, maybe 7 or 8. But I've only played a few multiplayer sessions ever. I think I've only done like 3 or 4 my whole time playing.
That's still a lot of trains running, you got to think, like between people on the internet, just like running trains in between each other, not trying to crash into each other. Like that, basically, it gives you a lot of real world operations capability. When you got 7 or 8 other people at least on the map with you.
Trains 2019, the most recent Trains game, it has they're doing something to the multiplayer which sounds really interesting, where they're doing this thing where they're merging the playing of this, like the running of the trains and the building of the route into one software. Like previously, going all the way back to 2002 with the first game, you have this, like the session layer, like you have the editing of the route, where you change the hills, you place down the trains, you do all that fun stuff, and then when you want to run the train, you switch over to driver mode, which is essentially you're playing an entirely different game at that point.
Right.
But it's all a seamless process within the program.
I see.
But what they're doing with the new one is I forget what the exact terminology of it is, but they're basically merging it. So they have a little button. I haven't played 2019, so I don't know the specifics, but they have a way to switch in game between editing and driving. Okay. And apparently what they're doing is they're combining that with multiplayer. So what they're going to be able to do in the immediate future, like the foreseeable future, not the immediate future, is have people building routes multiplayer in real time.
I see.
When previously you had to, if you wanted to work on a cooperative route project, you had to work on the route, get to a point, save it, export the file, put it onto like a Google Drive or something, and then email it to someone, and then they would work on it and send it back to you.
I see.
Well,
okay.
Now you can all just do it in one session, almost like if you've ever played Gary's Mod, like sort of like that.
Right. So I want to kind of rein it back in here because, like I said, I want to keep it focused on people who are trying to get into Train Simulator. So, okay. So we have our first game that we can play, which is Open Rails. We got the site up over here. They can download the game, and I'm assuming, on here there's all the routes and everything are on here as well, all on their platform. And it looks like they've got a lot of really awesome content that kind of breaks it down on how to download the routes and all that, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. when I got started, it was not like that. It was very bare bones. You just go on the site and you click the download link, and it's like 50-50 chance. Is it going to be a virus or is it going to be the game?
So let me
now look at it. You just look at it now. They've got the whole news thing and all that.
The cab controller. I remember this. I remember that being one of the things that was advertised. I always wanted to have one of those. One of the cab controllers.
I don't have the Rail Driver. I think that's what it's called. I really want one, but the thing that's stopping me is that the only one that's available right now is based on the Jivo, I believe. And I really want one that's based on the Dash 2. So
what's the variety of locomotives that a person can get on a train sim? Because right now, from what I'm seeing on Open Rails, it's a lot of diesels. We need some steam on here. Let's see if we can find a video of some steam.
Look up Donner Pass by 3D Train Stuff. That's
real quick. Is that part of Open Rails, or are we moving on to something else now?
That's still Open Rails. It's payware content, but highly recommended.
What is payware content?
9.8 out of 10. Payware content is anything where you pay up front and then you get the download link.
Really I simple.
See. It's just there's two kinds of content. There's freeware content, open source. You just download. Well, so I shouldn't say open source because you still might be breaching something.
So hang on. So you're trying to tell me that all the good content that everybody wants, all the Steam content, you got to pay out of pocket for, but the diesels are free?
God, absolutely not. And I'm gonna get into some good freeware content out there. This particular one is payware. I'm trying to think. Is there a good freeware Steam for Open Rails? I don't know. I've got a couple. The thing is that Open Rails is the most difficult one to run. Just putting down. Ignore the fact that big boy doesn't have a tender. That's a consist error there. They're supposed to have tenders.
What big boy are you looking at, dude? We're looking at the cab forward right now.
Please don't string me up on a cross. This pack is really good. As we've talked before on a couple other streams, the sound merging of how a train is supposed to start when you start, when you're starting the train and then you're building speed and you're changing things with how you run it. This route does that really well. All of the cab forward sounds are sourced from real footage of the cab forwards, and they sound exactly how they should. Right. As a big steam locomotive.
So where do you go to get the Donner Pass route? Where do you go to pay for that?
3D, I think it's .com. I got it on.
Is it 3dtrainstuff.com?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat there.
They got it in the description of this video as well. Hold on, let me see something here. Move this back over.
Yeah. That channel you're on right now, by the way, is at the Rail Yard. He is, if there is one person who got me into train simulators, it is at the Rail Yard. Nick at the Rail Yard.
I see.
His videos. You've got it muted right now, but if you watch the video on his channel on your own time, he does a lot of really good editing with music and stuff.
Let me see here. So you said you posted a link in chat. What chat did you post it in?
It should just be in the stream chat. Can you see it?
It didn't.
Maybe not a link. It's just 3dtrainstuff.com. Just copy and paste it into a search bar. It should get you there.
Oh, okay. I didn't see I don't see the link posted, but that's fine. But yeah, 3dtrainstuff.com. People can see it right here on the description as well in this video that we're watching. So, but
3dtrainstuff.com, all one word.
But yeah, and I have the website up here as well, 3dtrainstuff.com, so people can see where to go. And so, okay, so it's 20.
It's right up at the top.
So it's
$30.
it's $29.95 for the Donner Pass. Okay, and so you basically you download Open Rails, and then you pay for the Donner Pass route, you download it, and then that
And you get all the cab forwards that come with it. You get the consolidation that comes with it, the 280. You get the F units and the FP units, I think, and enough rolling stock to simulate a train on the overland route in the 1950s.
Oh wow, okay, that's neat. I like that.
Everyone knows Run 8 is the best. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna get into that. That's a subject for later.
So I see some people here talking about Trains with the Z, good old Trains.
Trains, yes. Let's get into Trains now, because Trains, I think, currently is the best. It finds the best medium between like playability, like just setting up trains and running them for fun, and the more serious sim side. And it also kind of the original game was actually called like Model Railroading on your PC or something.
So real quick before you continue, I want to pull up some content here. What version of Trains would you recommend somebody to start off with? The newest version, like was it 2019? Is the newest one?
Oh, this is a little bit controversial, but I'm gonna say
it doesn't, bro. Listen, don't worry about stepping on somebody's toes. Just give your opinion on what you think someone should start off with.
The one you want to start with is probably Trains: A New Era. It has.
I am very familiar with that one.
Well, it doesn't have the most content because Trains 2019 has a lot of content that isn't backwards compatible. Like there's a lot of there's some of the new stuff have like reflections and stuff that don't work on the older engines for the games.
I see.
But for like the vast majority of cases, Tane will run anything. Tane being Trains: A New Era. Tane. You could, at this point, if you wanted to start in 2019, nothing against you. That's perfectly fine. In fact, I still recommend it, but be warned, it is a little bit more resource intensive on your computer.
Holy crap,
if you don't have a gaming computer,
they got
maybe go with Tane.
There's a good variety of engines on this.
There's
Holy
a lot of
crap. And this is a train layout, like a toy train set. That's wild.
Yeah, that's Phil Keen, something like that. That guy does really good model. Those are all free, by the way. The Model Railroad.
Imagine if somebody were to like map out like Howard Zane's like model train layout and then use that as a route on a train sim, bro.
Zane, is that the Goran Daptide?
Howard Zane is like the godfather of brass model railroading. He used to own.
Show me a video of him real quick. I feel like
Adam actually knows him. He used to own BrassTrains.com.
Oh yeah, that guy. That guy.
Yeah, he has the Piedmont Division layout. Howard Zane, his layout is insane, bro. Like ridiculous. I just imagine if somebody like rendered this and put this in a PC game, that would be crazy. I'd run the hell out of it.
Here's the thing, bro. That one specifically, maybe not, but there is a lot of content out there that does that.
So they take people's actual train layouts and then they put them in game, and you can run on their layout.
There's that, and there's also just people express themselves in the same way a model railroader would express himself, but virtually. With virtual software.
So freelance model railroading, but just done virtually.
Yeah, that's what I do. And a lot of my buddies on train sim groups do the same thing. It's really fun and it's really like rewarding on a creative side of things.
I see. Well, let me get back over to some Trains content over here. Keep that going. So Trains, you said Trains: A New Era is a good place to start, or Trains 2019.
2019, yeah. Trains: A New Era is more stable right now because 2019 is still kind of a work in progress. Like I said, that multiplayer component. I think it's still not in the game yet. They're still just in the early process of beta testing, I think.
But how, so oh, okay, let me get off this text. So let me ask you this then. So if someone's watching this podcast, when they get done, they're gonna, let's say they want to go download a Trains software. So right now we talked about OpenRails, and then Trains and New Era are the main two that you would look at right now, right?
Or 2019, whichever one you want. It's just preference and what your computer can handle. Honestly, I have a really old and like potato PC, so I'm not sure how well 2019 is going to run. I'm still getting it in the immediate future because I've seen there's a site called Green Coast Simulations that what he did is he read my mind, and he took all of the steam locomotives that I have wanted either as model trains or as virtual trains, and he's just like, I'm just going to do them all.
Oh, so wait, hang on. So, and what software is that one for?
Trains 2019 exclusively. It's not for a New Era.
Well, then that's the one we need to look at. Okay, let's go back here. Trains.
I'm gonna send you a link to. Oh, I just
Trains and Roblox.
I just clicked on Steam when I was trying to open Discord. I sent you.
Damn it, McDonald's.
You need act block, my dude.
Really? Damn Jake from State Farm. Okay. Oh, this is Strasbourg. Oh, that's neat. Okay, let me look at the link you. Let me keep that playing. Let me look at the link you just sent me. So greencoaststudios.org. So this gentleman, he basically makes models of steam locomotives for Trains 2019.
Yeah.
Let's take a peek.
Let's check this out.
And so, do you have to pay for these, or what? Like, how does this?
Yeah, he does payware. I am big into payware. I didn't used to be.
He's got it by railroad.
Yeah, got a lot now. He only started. This is only like 2 years old.
Hang on.
Yeah, I've got a few more that I'm gonna send you later on. Wow, what are you doing to me, Steam? Yeah,
you're cutting out a little bit.
I want to open Steam.
And so for
I went to open Discord to send you the link, and I clicked Steam by mistake, and it did the whole startup process, and then it started downloading an update for IL2.
You're good, bro. And chat, let me clarify this too, because I know that a lot of y'all aren't gamers. So Steam is a platform in which you can purchase video games off of. Basically, just think of like someone had like a PlayStation or an Xbox, and how you can go on the Xbox or the PlayStation and just buy the games on the store that's on there. Steam is basically the same thing, but it's for PC. And it sounds like a train too, so it's cool. But here's the cool thing, and like for those of you who are just tuning in now, this is what Cam was saying earlier. To keep it in context, the games that we're talking about are only available on PC. So this is for PC gaming. So really, I want to break it down like this, because I'm learning with you guys as he's explaining this. So this is my understanding. So for anyone that wants to get basically into a train simulation game, the first thing you need to kind of do is you kind of need to look at what your PC hardware is looking like. Do you have an older PC or a newer PC, right? I have a gaming PC because I built mine, so it's designed to be able to play games and live stream at the same time. So I can pretty much run anything I want, right?
You're not going to struggle with any of this. You could run Train Sim World 20, or Train Sim World 2, and be streaming and be watching a YouTube video.
I have done it.
Most of us aren't there.
That's the thing. Like I've got like a $1,500 PC. So I've got like a Ryzen 7 3700 CPU and a MSI 2060 Super GPU. So a bunch of PC talk. But basically the point is I've got a mini supercomputer. I'm not gonna have any problems running trains, any train game I want, right? But for anyone who's got like an older PC, you might want to start with OpenRails. Okay, so
OpenRails run on anything.
Open because it's based off of an older software. It's basically it's based off of Windows 98 compatible software. So you'd be fine running.
Highly likely, if for some reason you're still running Windows 98, it would be able to run OpenRails.
Believe it or not, I do have a computer in this house that still runs Windows 98.
It might be a little bit, but it would probably be able to open the program and run it on the most basic level.
But the point is this: if you're unsure about your PC, you download OpenRails and give that a shot. You know for sure that's gonna work. So
the program is like 200 megabytes. Like you're not.
Yeah,
like it's the commitment of a photo. Like
so, go to openrails.org, download that, and then it looks like they've got the roots on here and everything as well. So
yeah, they got a selection of. I think they've been contributed by third-party people. I don't know how much OpenRails actually does themselves for the production of content.
Do you know, for real quick, just for my curiosity's sake, do you know where to download roots for OpenRails outside of like their platform?
The main one is trainsim.com. So if you look up trainsim all one word.com.
I can't spell type. Oh, what do you know? File library.
That is the original file sharing site for train simulators. They've got stuff on there for trains and Railworks too.
I feel like we
not nearly as much.
I feel like we should have started here. This has files for all the train simulator games, doesn't it?
Yeah, the stuff on the other games might be a little bit out of dated because most people prefer to use sites like Jointed Rail or Trains Forge and stuff for Trains A New Era or 2019. And then a lot of stuff is on the Steam Workshop and the Steam store page for Train Sim 2021.
TSG Gamer, pay where third-party stuff is a dumb idea. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a dumb idea.
I'm gonna hold my tongue, but I want to fight with this man right now.
I'm gonna jump out on a limb and say this. I don't think it's a dumb idea, and here's why. The same way that we have manufacturers that make really obscure models in HO scale or O scale, right? So like brass models, it's basically the equivalent of that, but for the virtual hobby. You got people that are basically making really high-end, super detailed, prototypical digital models, but they're ones that the main manufacturers like Train Sim or OpenRails, the ones that the main manufacturers aren't gonna make.
Pain in the rear, yeah, exactly.
And you've got people that are basically fans of these railroads and of these models making them, and if they want to get compensated for their work, I have no problem with that. And at the same time, some of the stuff, it looks like there's some stuff for free as well. So if you don't want to go and pay an arm and a leg for it, you got free content you can go to. Of course, there's only one engine here, but there's more. There are so many people out there on the internet, and this I am aware of, just from some of the guys that I've seen that even do like the Thomas the Tank Engine mods. There are a lot of people that just give away their models for free. So
yeah, it's TGS Gamer. Yeah, it's not a stupid idea, but it's pain in the rear at times. Yeah, I agree with that 150%. That is completely true, and that's totally fair. It is. Especially when they source content from other third-party sites and then those third-party sites shut down. Oh my god, dude.
That does suck. No, that I do understand.
The vast majority of time. But if you're just going to Green Coast Studios or Jointed Rail or something, they just have all the stuff right there.
But at the same time, and it's as crappy as it is when those sites shut down, it's just like it puts you in the same position that you were in before somebody created them. It just sucks because at one point in time, the software was available. But here's the thing, neat little trick. You can go, there are certain websites on the internet, like the Go Back Machine. You might be able to retrieve those sites after they've been shut down and download the files.
One of the big losses was USLW, US Locomotive Works. They were a huge... it was a huge thing back in the day. That was like one of the sites for content back when I started, and they shut down a few years ago. And there is still so much content that sources from them that now you can't get. I I have a few. I think I have a few buildings that I use on my routes that are from that site.
So
maybe I'll have to update those.
So real quick, you can not just you don't. It's not just engines you download. You can download buildings as well.
Like in Trains' case, everything you see on screen is probably made by someone other than the developers of the game.
Really? Like, even the crossings?
Yep, those crossings, those look like maybe Reggie's crossings. I'm not super familiar with crossings. Everything down to the grass, the cars. I think some of that might be built in.
That begs the question: what the hell do you get when you download a train simulator if someone's basically making all of this from scratch?
Well, that's exactly what turns a lot of people off. Is that, especially with trains, there is a lot of searching around. But when you know what you're looking for, it is unmatched in quality. So this is speaking of someone with hundreds of hours of experience in all of the simulators. Like,
so basically, when you download a train simulator, you're your primary focus should be to download external content for basically what it is that you're gonna want.
Well, what I would suggest is, when you're going into a train simulator, know what you want. Do you want? I don't mean like specific routes, because you might have troubles finding specific routes, but know kind of what era you want. Do you want 1950s? Do you want 1980s? Do you want 1890s? Like, there's content for pretty much any era you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really into Steam, there are a lot of, I've got a clipboard of sites here, mostly Steam, because I know your audience is very Steam oriented. But there's, know what you're looking for.
So
you know what you're looking for, you can narrow down your search a lot. And once you start getting into it, once you get momentum going, once you start going onto sites, you'll start finding links on those sites to other sites that they recommend.
Right.
And it becomes easier the more you go on.
So basically, the few sites that we've already pulled up so far are good places for people to start that are just trying to get in. So
and I've got many more.
But real quick, and I want to get to more of those, but I want to just make sure, because I'm learning here too. So as I'm learning with our audience, I want to basically be able to break this down in a way that hopefully to make sure that I understand what's being said. So far we've recommended 3 games. So Open Rails, Trains New Era, and then Trains 2019 as three really solid games you could start out with. Just basically what it comes down to, it depends on what kind of PC you're operating on. And then from there, you can download basically routes and locomotives. So let me ask you this question. Do certain routes come with locomotives installed on them, or do you have to download those separately?
Yeah. So, in Trains, it's a little bit more uncommon, because the content creation side of things is very divided. People work in specific areas.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to get into the V-scaling thing. A really good comparison would be, you've got guys who specialize in the locomotives and the rolling stock. What you're seeing on the screen here is K&L Trains, highly recommended. It's all payware, but it's very, very high quality. Mm-hmm. This guy does the best sound work in the business, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Some have tried to surpass him, but I would say that even the ones that match him just match him. They don't surpass him, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Valero from K&L does really good work every time every time he puts a new train. I'm always like looking in my wallet, like. So comparing this to model railroad side of things, you got the guys who make the trains, and then you got the guys who make, say, scenery, the buildings and the grass, even. Mm-hmm. In some cases, and then you've got the guys who make the routes. Mm-hmm. And usually the guys who make the routes are separate from the guys who make the trains, but sometimes there are cooperative projects.
I see.
So there is a complete route for free that includes something like 20 locomotives, all in the steam era, on a site called Trains Italia. Roland's Pass 1910. It models the Roland's Pass of the Denver, Salt Lake, and Pacific in 1910, but more broadly in the 1910s up until the Moffat Tunnel was made. That route is one of the most complete routes I have on my library. You download it, you get the content that comes with it. It'll take a little while to download. And it comes with all of the rolling stock and all of the locomotives you will need to run the route.
So I guess on the older software, it kind of would seem like, so basically on open rails, that would kind of, all the routes would kind of contain the trains on there. But for the newer stuff like Trains in New Era or Trains 2019, the trains and the routes are kind of separate. Am I kind of correct in my assumption on that?
It's kind of just a trains thing. Because Train Sim 2021 also has a lot of self-contained content. But the problem is that you often lose a lot of quality on one or both side of things when you focus too much on producing a complete pack, rather than producing a complete piece of content.
Right. You spread yourself too thin.
What often happens is you have cooperative projects where one guy will release a route and then another guy will release a content pack for the route, and basically you buy the two things separately, or you download the two things separately depending on if it's payware or freeware, and then they come together and they're intended to work as one.
I see. Okay. So, all right, let me backtrack a little bit. Okay, so right now,
I'm gonna send you a YouTube link here for Roland's Pass, if it'll open. Actually,
you sent it in Discord.
Yeah.
So, all right. So basically,
San Juan.
So basically, we need to download. You need to download the software. You need to download routes, and then basically you download a route depending on what type of era you wanna run. Let me see what this. Oh, the San Juan. Okay, I've seen. I'm actually subscribed to this channel, the San Juan Branchline series. Yep.
Yeah, everyone knows that one.
I've been watching these because
the Tank Engine of like virtual simulators, like.
Right. Yeah, these guys have been the guys that do the San Juan Train series. They've been around since like the early days of like the Thomas the Tank Engine community on YouTube from like back in the day. They used to do like Thomas the Tank Engine dubs and all sorts of crazy crap.
If you got the guys from San Juan on here, I would be like a baby. Like they were deep into content creation when I started.
Yeah, no, these guys have been. I've been watching their content for years because there was another series that one of them used to do. It was, oh God, what was it? It was another train sim series. The main character on the series was like the Daylight, and I forget what that series was called. But anyway,
I know. Oh, Highland Valley.
Yes. No.
I know the route they used was Highland Valley. I can't remember if it was also the title of the series.
I forgot, but I could probably look it up real quick. Now that I'm thinking about it,
it's crazy how they have less than 6,000 subscribers.
It's on an old playlist of mine. Let me see. Oh wow,
I'm not subscribed to them. I got to change that right now.
But yeah, these I know exactly. I see. That's the thing. I've been watching a lot of the train sim guys for years. I just haven't gotten into it personally.
So anyway, what you're seeing on the screen, Roland's Pass 1910. It is all free. It all comes with the route. It's all. I actually have all of the content in this video. It took me about a day to download. Like. Because a lot of the stuff was on the download station, and the download station has a capped download speed of like 100 kilobytes a second.
How many miles of track is on this route?
Total, like mile wise, I don't think it's particularly huge, but it has grades going up to like 4 or 5%. and it's very windy, and the locomotives are still pretty weak. These are 1910s locomotives, so it takes a long time to cross the pass.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of the actual mile, like you're not sure the actual like mileage on the.
I think it's the entire Roland's Pass line. I can't remember how
That is
long.
neat. That is neat. How they've got the train up there above and the one lower in the valley. That's freaking cool. I like this. that is neat. And so how?
I thought you would. I thought you would like this. This is a really cool route.
So this is Trains 2019.
20. No, this is before 2019 came out. This is a new era.
So this is Trains a New Era, and this is the Roland Pass route.
Yeah, I think it works all the way back to 2012. Don't quote me on it though.
So where do you download this route from?
It's not in the description, is it? Let me find you a link here. It's on Trains Italia. I can't remember if you need an account to download it or not. I don't think you do though. Okay, I'm just gonna go to their site. It's an Italian site, so it can be a little bit hard to navigate.
Okay.
An old one at that.
But this is really, wow. This is neat. So I see. So basically, you start down here and you work your way up the mountain, kind of like the Denver and Rio Grande. Is kind of what that reminds me of.
Well, here's the thing. That line all became the Denver and Rio Grande later on in its life. That's, the Moffat Tunnel?
I've heard of it.
It went right. It goes. That's the line that the Moffat Tunnel bypassed. I see. This is the same railroad that built the Moffat Tunnel, the Denver, Salt Lake and Pacific, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So this is.
Well, these trains are standard gauge.
If you know Moffat Tunnel, this is that area before they built the tunnel.
I see. Wow, so these guys must have done a lot of research to go back and kind of figure out how this would have all looked.
Yeah, not only did they do that, but they chose to model it in a specific season, which I thought was really cool.
This entire route is just stuck in the winter?
It's as far as I know, they've got non-winterized content, but I don't think there's a way to run the route without not in winter mode.
I see.
Because I'm pretty sure the all the assets that they use, like the track and stuff, is all specifically winter track.
So let me ask you this question, because you said this is Trains a New Era. So can you take the old routes but download them for the newer train simulators?
You can, yeah. They some of them are a little bit broken because content starts to disappear as time goes on, and more importantly, content starts to break as the game engine progresses and things get changed. But for the most part, especially routes are usually pretty safe. Because even if some of the content breaks, the route file itself doesn't. You can still load a route, and if the content breaks, then it just won't put that content in.
I see. So really, this is, here's the crazy part, and this is kind of what I'm seeing about Train Simulator. The advantage to it is that basically it's like if let's say everyone in chat and myself and you, we've all got our own model railroads. It's like basically being able to make it a digital imprint of our model railroad and then send it to another person, and then you can literally have my model railroad at your house at any time you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's super neat to me.
And you can make as many model railroads as you want. They're all free. All it costs is a huge dent in your hard drive, because I've got something like 600 gigs of content, and I'm on the smaller end of the scale. I'm still pretty refined in what I download.
Right. So So Randall just posted a question in chat. He said, "What about Train Sim World? How's that game, especially the Xbox and PS4 version, so the console versions of Train Sim World?"
That one's on console, isn't it?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that too, because I do know that's like the only train game on console.
Train Sim World. I apologize. I can't talk about it. here's the one thing I do know though. According to I'm on a few train sim groups on Facebook and like on the forums and stuff. Everything I've heard from within the train sim community leads me to believe that it's kind of trash.
Yeah,
Um,
I can say
it
this
looks
from personal
fun.
experience. There's no Steam in that game, so it doesn't have
Yeah,
my
looks
approval.
fun. It looks fun, but the big problem is it's not backwards compatible with train sim. So what they've done is they've the train sim like Railworks, Train Sim 2021, they're already like kind of dying. People are starting to realize that their business practices aren't the best and their content is even less the best.
So what's wrong with it? What do they do that people don't like?
Incomplete content is the biggest problem with it. They prioritize the marketing of the content and the just getting it out there over actually like finishing the content. So they cut a lot of corners. It's a huge problem, especially sound wise. You get a lot of reuse stuff, like the same SD40 engine sound and the same generic, I think it's an S3 horn from like 2007 is still being pumped out into official Steam DLC not in 2021 because they haven't released anything this year yet, but as in some of the most recent content. And people are getting really sick of it. If you look at the Steam scores of their DLC, it really reflects a community that's kind of really, to put it bluntly, they're sick of their shit. Like it's been over a decade of this now, where it's content that is mediocre at best. I don't want to sound like I'm ragging on them too hard, because I find it really fun. If you know what you're doing and you know what you're looking for, it is a really solid simulator. Like it performance wise is way better than trains. The routes themselves are way more finished than most of the trains routes because they've got fully dedicated development teams working on them. But the trains that run on them, not so much. But the nice thing about that is that in more recent years, there have been guys stepping up, and they're like, if you're not going to do it right, we'll do it. We'll do it anyway. A really good example, if anybody here plays Train Sim 2021, they'll immediately recognize these names: Digital Train Model, G-Track Simulations, and Searchlight Simulations all do amazing. These guys aren't third party; they're second party, so they are still on like sort of the Dovetail Games payroll, but they're not employees of the company. Like they're working on their own time, but then their content gets officially published by the game.
So right now we're not talking about. So we've stepped outside of trains territory. Now we're in train sim territory. So we're talking about train sim right now, right?
Yeah, we've kind of been pushed there by the chat. And so what Train Sim World is, going back to that, is it is their attempt to revitalize it. They're kind of like, all right, the game's getting a little bit old. It's a little bit out of date. We're starting to see that Trains 2019 is starting to kind of usurp our throne as the best looking sim out there. So they've got first Train Sim World, and now Train Sim World 2, the sequel to it. And basically, I think what they're trying to go for is kind of the feel of Train Sim 2021, but better graphics and more immersion. So you see here, it's all in first person, and when you go on the train, you're opening all the panels to start a prime mover and stuff. It looks really cool in gameplay, but the problem is it comes at a huge sacrifice performance wise, and because it's so complicated, there's like no content for it. It all has to be for this sim. So that means all of this, like TGS Gamer said, $7,000 of content for TS 2021.
What?
On Steam. None of that will work in Train Sim World 2, as far as I'm aware. I said, I don't play it, I can't.
So wait, Train Sim 2021 has $7,000 worth of content.
$7,000 worth of content that you can buy.
For but what is it? Just different routes and engines?
routes, engines, and honestly, the most scummy one is sessions. Like, dude, I can set up a session
Sessions.
in 10 minutes, and you're gonna sell me that for $10, $15,
What?
sometimes $30 for a pack of sessions. I don't even like
What?
playing the session.
So wait,
Okay, I'm
tell
gonna
me
be honest.
what is
I don't
what
like
is what is a session? Are you talking about like the
a
scenarios?
session is a scenario. Yeah, scenarios, sessions. I use the term session because that's the train's term. But I
Mhm.
think the term that more people use from like MSTS and from Train Sim and Train Sim World is scenarios. It's basically you've got the route, everything that run like the whole map, and then you got everything that goes on the route, and that's
I
on the
see.
session layer. So
So
you put
for
down the trains, and you give the trains like, okay, go to this waypoint,
I see.
go to this portal, do this action,
So
load this thing.
so
So yeah,
basically
you're
it's an ops. So basically it's an ops session, and basically basically you're paying for a specified ops session. So take your steam engine, unload the logs at the logging camp, and then take the boxcars to the flour mill, whatever, right? That kind of
yeah,
thing.
it doesn't have to be that complicated though. It can literally just all it has to be is one train and someone to drive the train, which is you.
I mean, I guess the only
So
cool
that's
thing about that would be like, oh, we've got a simulated wreck ahead. Like you've got to kind of wait for clearance to get for the
There
wreck to
are
get cleared, and
there are some out there that do really good. The Donner Pass route that we were talking about earlier for Open Rails and MSTS, they released a $30 expansion to that. It might be cheaper now, but they released an expansion for that model. Do you know the storm of 52?
no,
When the city of city of San Francisco, sorry, city of San Francisco got snowbound on Donner Pass, the train
no.
that got stranded out there. Okay, well I'll very briefly go over the story here. It's a long story. Basically, in 1952, the whole west coast of the U.S. was hit by the worst snowstorm in like 80 years or something like that.
Mhm.
Since at least I can't remember what year was the last one before it. 1911. At least 40 years. It was the worst snowstorm in at least 40 years. Something like 10 feet of snow in a couple days.
Mhm.
And Donner Pass is already infamous for its snow. So basically, what happened is in January of 1952, a train called the City of San Francisco, a joint Union Pacific Southern Pacific train, was crossing the pass. I think it was a westbound train. It was crossing the pass, and it got stuck. It froze to a halt, and the
Mhm.
whole train was stuck out there for about 2 weeks, I think.
2
And it
weeks.
was the only time in the entire 110, I think, years that Southern Pacific was running Donner Pass. It was the only time that the overland route was closed
And
in
so
100 years.
that's wild. But there's basically are there
Yeah.
like simulations for that on?
Yeah, the route that we were talking about at the start, the Open Rails one for the 3D train stuff, Donner Pass, because it models the era and the route. A few years after, they made a content pack that models that recreates those course of events. I think it was 2 trains actually got stranded,
Mhm.
and it was a whole process to extract them. There's
So
no injuries in the whole incident. They were stranded out there for something like 2 weeks, and nobody died. Nobody even really got hurt.
well, I guess they had enough food on the train to kind of, if they
Yeah.
rationed it out, everybody would live. But let
Yeah,
me kind of rein it back in here. Randall asked a good question. He said, "What about the PS4, Xbox One version of Train Sim World? I don't have Wi-Fi to download everything, but just wondering about the base stuff that's in the game when you buy it." So
Like I said, Randall, I'm sorry. I don't know anything about Train Sim World. I've actively avoided it because honestly, like I said earlier, I'm kind of sick of the developers now. They've kind of lost me. Um, and the other thing is that my computer just can't run it. Like it just.
So I can speak a little bit on it because I did a bit of research. So I know that with Train Sim World on the PS4, I think there's a couple of DLC packs, and a lot of it I believe is European centered. Like there's a lot of European locomotives. I believe they have a nice little CSX route on there as well. But outside of that, I don't.
Dovetail are a British company, so a lot of the stuff they do is European oriented. If you're into European trains, Train Sim 2021 and Train Sim World they're a decent choice. They got a decent amount of selection for content. But if you're into American stuff, I'm not going to advise you don't get it, but I'm going to advise you know what you're getting.
Here, let me put it to you this way. If you're looking to get a train simulator for your console, which is what I was looking for a while ago, this is the only one available. This is the only train simulator on console, and there are no Steam engines. So if you're into Steam, you're SOL. You're not going to get it on you're not going to get on there. This, if I would recommend, I believe I looked at this review when I was initially looking it up. Metal Gear Glenn, Train Sim World PS4 Xbox One review. Check that out when you get a chance. He kind of goes into detail about it. It's only a 5-minute review. But like I said, there's not really a crazy amount of content for it, because as Cameron here is saying, like they're kind of it sounds like they're kind of all over the place as a developer. So and also it seems like Train Sim
multiplayer, they still don't have it.
Yeah,
that's really typical. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But also, it also seems like with the Train Sim series, they do seem to be very European focused. Like there's a lot of European models, a lot of European routes from even the things I've seen over the years. So, but basically,
and
from
that's
what
where the $7,000 comes from, because that's everything. That's European stuff. That's American stuff. Now you've got like Australian stuff. I think now there's some content in Asia. Like I think there's a Japanese route. So if you got every single thing, if you for some reason thought you would be able to play every single route they've ever made for the game, and every single train made for every single route on the game, and every single mission set for every single train in the game, it would cost you $7,000. If you're just looking at American stuff and you're just looking at like the good routes, like the highly recommended stuff, it's dropping down into the low hundreds.
And so here's another thing y'all got to understand too when it comes to gaming in general, because this isn't just a problem for train simulator games. This is a problem in the gaming industry as a whole right now. What a lot of gaming companies have figured out is that they don't really necessarily make full games anymore. Like, well, let me rephrase it. They make a full game, right? But the last third of the game, what they'll do, they'll save it for later and make you pay for it in DLC. So it seems like with Train Simulator, that problem has been exacerbated. It's been made way worse for the Train Simulator. Well, you got $7,000 worth of DLC, and I guarantee you a lot of that is just overlap. Like a lot of that is just the same kind of content, just recycled. There might be slight differences, but a lot of the time, most of the DLC, when you've got that much DLC, I find it hard to believe that most of that is worth paying for.
And again, shame Microsoft hasn't made a train simulator for Xbox One yet, especially when they had Farm Simulator. I believe they had 18-Wheeler Simulator for Xbox too. Microsoft, as I said at the start, they made the first train simulator back in 2001. What's interesting, though, is that if you actually look through the lineage, Train Sim World is actually the direct descendant of Microsoft Train Simulator. And let me get into that. So the first train simulator game, it was published by Microsoft. So that's where the Microsoft in the title comes from. But it was developed by a company called Kuju Entertainment, I think. Oh, let me check my notes here. It didn't say. It was made by Kuju Entertainment. I'll just call them that. And about 6 years later, they started working on Microsoft Train Sim 2. It was a huge thing. And I don't think they officially canceled it until not too long ago, because there was a lot of hype for it, but they also didn't really want to make it, let's be honest. But what ended up happening is Kuju just decided, fine, we'll just make our own game. So then they made a game in 2007 called Rail Simulator. And Rail Simulator is they technically differentiate it as a different game from Railworks, but all of the content from Rail Simulator is backwards compatible for Railworks. I do not know why. If you were to play it now, like, it is not good by today's standards.
Railworks.
But the first Railworks was basically they made two in the series. They made the first one, and then I think there was Rail Simulator 2 in 2008, and then 2009 was Railworks. And what Railworks was it was literally Rail Simulator but on Steam. And then they added workshop support, and they added and it just allowed them access to like the Steam store, so they could keep all their content in one place, basically. And that's what Railworks. That's where Railworks came from. And then, of course, Railworks turned into Train Sim 2021, and that turned into Train Sim World and Train Sim World 2. So Train Sim World 2 on the Xbox and PS4 is, I'm not going to say that it's Microsoft Train Sim 2, but it is lineage wise, it is a descendant of Microsoft Train Simulator.
I see. Okay. So, but basically, so my understanding is this though. So if you're really wanting to get into a train simulator game, right, and you want a good variety of routes, even content that you don't really have to pay like an exorbitant amount of money for, sounds like what you really want to stick to is Trains: A New Era, Trains 2019, and then Open Rails.
Mm-hmm. And let's go back into some of the sites that I have here. I'm gonna open my notes here. So scroll down here. So for trains, you've got Jointed Rail. They're the premier ones. They're the main ones. I was gonna say semi recently, but it was actually about 9 or 10 years ago now. They became like unofficial partners with N3V Games, who developed the software. But they have their own thing. They produce content that becomes official DLC for trains, but they also just have their site that has all their stuff on it. And you download from the site, you buy from the site, and you pay directly to them, and then they send you a download link. But because it's a pretty old site by now, and it's always been very professional, all the content that you see on Jointed Rail is either, it can still be a little bit of a pain to find the dependencies. One problem that a lot of people have is trying to find the cab mesh. So, which is, I don't even know what a cab mesh is. I'm not going to go into it.
So hold on a second. What's the website, first of all? You said is it jointedrail.com?
.com. JR. They produce. They're mostly Diesel Era.
Trash. Next website. No.
But. Okay, but I'm gonna stop you before you just.
So wait, time out. I'm on right now. You're trying to tell me? So I'm looking at all these diesels right now, right? So they're selling these for like $14 a piece.
But this is the complete, like, this is like buying a brass train for virtual. Like, you're getting. The sounds are extremely high quality. These are the best sounding trains I've ever run in any simulator.
Where are they getting the sounds from?
I think it's their own sound library.
So they go out and record the sounds themselves.
Yeah. Well, even if it wasn't their own sound library, they're sourcing it from people who did.
That's
Um,
wild.
well, you're looking on the payware side of things. If you scroll up, there should be a
Freeware.
freeware area, and there's a decent amount of freeware. Oh, what's that? there's a decent amount of freeware content on there.
Generic
you can
house
filter-
mega pack. Wow, dude,
Yeah.
there's over 20 pages of free content.
Yeah, and this is yeah.
That's
Um,
And for a lot of us, this is probably really what we're going to be.
BNSF Engineer JR is a bit overpriced for what it is. A route from them is $40. Yeah, I would agree. But what you can do, this content is really good. And I wouldn't, I would never suggest that you decide like, oh, I'm never gonna have JR content because it's overpriced, because they really do have the best stuff out there.
I mean, to be
They've got
fair,
some really cool stuff. The RS-27 is like, that's a really unique and interesting locomotive to do.
I mean, to be fair, if you didn't have the space to do model railroading, $14 an engine is really cheap. Like, you could buy a couple hundred for what I pay for like a one brass model. Like, that's not bad. You know,
what
That's
you can do
wild.
to save money with them is they very frequently have sales. And if you get their club car, it's like $50 for a year, I think. Which you're gonna have to buy a lot of content to make your money back. But basically, what that does is it gives you, I think it's a 25% discount.
Boy, the GS4 is free and a Camelback is free, bro. Sign me up right now.
There's a payware locomotive on there that is Steam. It is one of the best Steam locomotives I have ever seen for any simulator or game ever.
So, timeout. Hang on a second. So, this is for Trains 2019. Jointed Rail.
This one is actually this is a really old model. This one broke new ground when it came out. This is from all the way back in like 2009 to 2010.
What game is it for?
It says supported for Trains A New Era through 2019. I guarantee you, if you download that and install it on Trains 2010, it'll run, because I used to have that train when I had 2010.
I see. So
this engine has like changed hands a few times. It was originally uploaded on a site that now doesn't even exist anymore, and then it was moved over to a site called RR Mods, which they have a bit of a reputation, and I don't want to get into it, but let's just say that there's good reasons why people pull out of working with them.
We don't have to get into all that. We just need to stick to what, how people, basically the options for people that are available that want to get into this. So
the story of that GS4 specifically is kind of interesting, because it has had a long journey to where it is now.
This is neat,
but
man.
it's been there for probably about like at least 8 years now. So,
dude,
people know to join the rail one.
All I gotta say is this:
I'm gonna show you a site that is going to blow your mind, though.
All right, what you got for me?
Trains Forge, because they've had two sites. The new one is trains-forge.com.
Is this the one that you were telling me about on Facebook?
I probably brought it up. I opened it up on the pre-stream. Trains.
There was one that you were telling me about that was like basically Baldwin Locomotive Works but digital. Holy crap! I'm already happy.
Yeah, look at their go to their freeware. Go to their freeware stuff. Don't even look at the payware. Look at what they've made for free.
Content.
Go into content. It'll have a drop-down menu. Freeware.
I'm already getting hype. This is okay.
What did I tell you, Matt?
Let's see. Oh my god. Oh, this is great.
And this is all free.
And this is for
And
wait. This is for holy crap! What? Oh,
Uh-huh.
they got Malaise.
They've got big boys on there.
Hang on a second.
Big boys, Challengers, GS4s.
Trains for so this is for any of the current trains. So new era. Oh my god, are these early era Challengers?
Yeah, they are. And they're really fun.
That's sick. Oh, that's sick. Those look good. Those look good. Like really good.
Mm-hmm.
They've got all sorts of UP models. Oh man, look at the FEFs.
C2s.
That's neat.
Man, this thing got Harriman consolidations before model trains did.
That
at least when you're not counting grass.
Right. This is wild. What a GS64s?
The Western Pacific GS6s.
I didn't know they've got smoke deflectors on them. That looks weird. That's awkward.
It looks weird, but it looks kind of cool though.
I mean, it's Steam. It all looks cool, you know. But this is neat.
If you look at some of the stuff, like you can notice some of the stuff is noticeably higher quality. Apparently, recently they found a new way of texturing their locomotives that they weren't using before. That like gives them reflective surfaces, and apparently that stuff doesn't really work in a new era. So any of the stuff you see with like really insane look in detail and reflection, it might only be for 2019.
So my question is, if this is the free stuff, what's the paid stuff look like?
Exactly. It's like shop on the.
Wait, there's more.
No, that just takes you to the page you're already on.
Oh, okay.
And then
let me go back up here.
It's crazy to see this and think like back when I started following them, their payware is at the top.
Where?
Well, what is that? Man, I'm sitting here looking at your stream and I'm shopping right now. I'm seeing stuff.
Oh, shop. Oh, under the shop. Okay. Yeah,
shop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
why
wow.
They have
oh my god. Oh.
Yeah, we got the Skookum.
That's neat. Oh, that's neat.
I'm gonna say something really cringy. That Skookum is very Skookum.
That is neat. $7.50. See, that's the other thing. Like for video game DLC, even compared to these, like this isn't that expensive for video game DLC, and that's the other thing. Like $7 for DLC is pretty cheap.
That's half of the jointed rail stuff for the same, like for pretty much the same level of quality.
Like I've paid.
What I was talking about here.
I've paid $20 for Dragon Ball DLC. Like this.
Once you know the sites. Once you know the sites to look at and you know the content you want, you're going to find this is just one of many sites that I have that just have just an entire they have an entire model railroad drawer of just dream locomotives that you just, and they're just waiting to be found.
How are the and so real quick, just to make sure I know what the hell. So this is still for trains.
Yeah.
It seems so to me. It seems like if you really want to get into train simulator, like train simulators in general, like it seems like trains, like either a new era or 2019 is going to be the best way to do it. Even if you might, because how much does trains cost?
I think 2019 is. I haven't checked recently. I should, because I'm getting it really soon. I think last time I checked, it was about $30.
Let me check. It's in Steam, right?
I'm not sure if it's on Steam actually.
Let's take a peek.
I've heard from people in the community that it might be better.
Trains
to get it.
Trains a New Era is on Steam. Trains
2019 is. Yeah, so 2012, or just 12.
Train Simulator is holy crap! It's $69 for Train Sim.
It's I think that's low key them trying to punish people for buying it on Steam instead of on their site, because I think it's cheaper on their site.
What's their website? Trains.com.
No, it's not. It's like Simulator Central or something like that. Simulator Central.
Randall, I wish I had a computer now. I'd buy the game and download all the free stuff on site and be happy for life.
I don't.
Bro.
I do not know why I didn't put this on my clipboard, but store.transportal.com. And yeah, $40 for 2019 North American edition. So like I think what they've finally done now is they've like if you're a North American guy, they just cut out all the German stuff and all the European stuff in general. Like, because like let's be honest, like it's kind of cool once in a while, but who really wants to commit a whole chunk of their hard drive to an Alps line if you're into Southern Pacific?
I see. Yeah.
So
okay.
it's $40.
Hold on, is it trains? Okay, 2019 standard edition is $24.99. Well, I just realized you're in Canada.
What? So yeah, so that's still going to be like $50 for me.
The pricing is going to be different for you than it is for us. So yeah, in North America, it's $24.99 for train. See,
yeah, in my case though, I might have a coupon they gave me for being like a loyal customer or something. I can't remember if it's expired though.
Oh yeah, the Savage Loyal Customer coupon pack. That's lit.
Yeah, well, like if you look on my, if you had all of my train simulators lined up, like if all of them were signed to my account, my personal trains account, because what's cool about their forums is if you post on the forums, it'll show you every train, like every game they've had.
Mm-hmm.
If every game that I owned was registered to my account, not all of them are, it would say that I've owned every single one.
So let me do this real quick just to kind of hone it back in for people that are kind of like listening and not, because this is a podcast. Some people are probably just listening to us talk rather than actually looking at the screen. So if you go on Google and type in store.transport, or just in your search bar, just go to store.transportal, trains with a Z, of course. So store.transportal.com, right? You'll basically get to the main website. And then let me go back actually so I can guide everybody through this. And so you just go to buy trains in the top left-hand corner. It's going to lead you right over to Train Simulator. So there's two versions. So you got the standard edition and the platinum edition. The standard edition so it has the core routes, tutorials, content, golden BC plus jointed rail content pack, whatever that means. Sabino plus Nittertalbahn. What the?
BC. It's a division point, I think, on the Canadian Pacific through the Rockies.
Okay.
It's like right on the British Columbia Alberta border. A very popular rail fanning spot here in Canada.
I see. And so the Platinum Edition contains all that good stuff, but it has the Platinum Edition bundle, which is normally $200 apparently. The unified
driver surveyor interface. So that's what I was talking about earlier. That combines the building and the driving. And apparently, I don't think it's even close to like starting to be done yet. But apparently, they're working on taking that and putting it into multiplayer.
I see. And so, yeah, dude, really, excuse me. This seems like the best.
CPU roots are utter crap.
This seems like the best version of the game of all the train sims we've gone over. This seems like the best one to download.
It's my personal recommendation.
That's
if you were to only get one of the sims we were talking about today, I would suggest Trains. I'm going to say 2019 because there's content out there that you can only get for 2019.
Right, and you can use some of the older content from Trains: A New Era as well.
You can use all of it.
And it's only $34.
Since Trains 2012, every piece of content, as far as I'm aware, has been compatible with the later versions. If you're going back to like Trains 2004 and stuff, you're gonna have conflicts. But at this point, why are you downloading content from 2 decades ago?
Right. Yeah, that's a bit wild. Yeah, going back to Windows 98 and trying to port that over to Windows 10 is kind of insane.
But
you want to download Real Player while you're at it? No.
If you really, really know what you're doing, you can still make it work. And there's still content out there that, like Prowler. Prowler 24 is his name. He went quiet. He stopped making content 12 years ago, and his stuff is still the best Rio Grande narrow gauge stuff out there. It's all free. The problem is it doesn't work for any game.
So
he has like the Rio Grande narrow gauge, right? Think about that. Every single locomotive they had, with the exception of like some of the earlier like moguls and stuff, like the C19s, the K27s, K28s, K36s, even a K37.
Hey, this guy made content. Where's his content? Can you find it on YouTube?
Well, his site is still up. Steammachine.com, and it's a sub-site. So steammachine.com.
I want to see there's any videos of it so I can pull it up on stream. Are there any videos?
Plenty. I'm gonna send you the thing there to look it up. They have steammachine.com actually has quite a few really good sites on there. You've got Subpar Productions by Ben Neal. Before Trains Forge and K&L Trains came along, Ben Neal specifically was the Steam guy that you got all of the Steam locomotives from. And honestly, most of it still holds up. It's all freeware. And most of it still works. And the stuff that doesn't work has been ported over to the newer games by people because this guy's he's really cool. People are like, hey, I noticed your stuff doesn't work in the new games. Do you mind if I rework it and fix it up so it works in the new games? And he's like, sure. And then they just put it right on the download station.
This site is old. This site is
It is ancient. This is stuff going back to 2004.
That's insane.
It hasn't been updated since 2017. It's honestly it might not be very long now that this thing is still up, because
2004 to 2006. That's crazy.
The last active subsite of this was Ben Neal, and his last update was in 2015. So
this Steam Machine, is any of this stuff good to download?
Everything on Subpar Production is good. Prowler's Den, San Juan Trains Works will work, but it takes finessing.
So let's keep it simple for those who are just trying to download some fun
trains.
Just
if you want that Rio Grande narrow gauge stuff, there's actually a guy on the download station who's made most of the stuff that Prowler did. I'm not saying it's the same content. It's entirely unique content, but it's the same locomotives he's modeling.
Right.
And they're high resolution. They're I personally prefer the Prowler stuff because they've got stuff like blow down, like really good sounds and stuff like that. But this guy Togog, I'll just put it in the chat actually.
Hold on now.
Togog.
So
go into the downloads and go to 2004 locomotives and rolling stock.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is where you download everything from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? I've seen people use these models on.
Yeah, they're really famous.
Okay.
So, the name I just put in the chat, that's the guy's username who does a lot of this stuff now on the download station. So, the download station is a. I don't think I explained this on the stream yet. The download station is it's a sub-program of Trains, comes with every copy of the game on the content manager. You open up the game, you click on manage content, and it'll take you to it'll show you everything you have installed in the game, plus all of the content that's been uploaded to the download station.
So
which is like the official site to upload stuff.
Now I'm confused. I need to make sure I understand what you're saying here. So first of all, we're talking about Trains 2019, correct? Or any version of Trains is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So hang on. So in any version of Trains, there's an add-on or an addition or a sub part of the program that's called the download manager. Is that what it is?
Content manager.
Content manager. Okay.
In 2000, but the first the first time it was introduced was in Trains 2006. So if you have an old CD copy of Trains 2004, you're not going to have, but you can still download some of the older DLS content. You just have to go and find the download station site and manually install it.
Right. But basically, any Trains content from 2006 onward has the download manager or the content manager, and so all the so this is how you get the files uploaded onto your game, is through there.
Yeah, well, what you do is when you download anything, you have to use the content manager. If you're downloading it from the content manager itself, or if you're downloading it externally, so you're gonna have to use it anyway. And the content manager, the current content manager, is totally seamless in the download station content and your own content, and you just look it up on a search bar. So if you look up K27, it'll bring up this guy's Ks27s that he's made. And if you can filter it by username, and then if you put in the guy I put in the chat, Togog, he has pretty much the whole Rio Grande library. Unfortunately, I think he's only got like one road number per type of locomotive, which is kind of sad, which is why I use this guy's stuff instead. But if you just want a K28, and he's got a few different versions. He's got the versions with green boilers, and he's got versions with snow plows and stuff. But generally, it's not as much variety as this guy.
Okay, but basically, I guess what I'm trying to understand is, so because we've been looking at a lot of downloads. Okay, like we've been on Trains Forge, I'm in San Juan's Trains Works, right? Like, to get this content onto the game, you've got to go through the download manager. So do you just like pull it out of a phone? You like
what? Could I share my screen with you? Let me just. I could just download something for you right now.
Yeah, or just show us a download that
you were looking at Trains Forge. I saw some narrow gauge passenger cars that looked really nice. I'm going to download those right now.
Hold on, let me go back to Discord.
I was saying Trains probably won't work with streaming, but just downloading stuff to it probably won't be a problem. So let's see. Share screen. Screen 1. Live. Hopefully this doesn't melt my CPU. My computer is running a little bit hot right now. You good? You seeing it?
Yeah, we're seeing you.
All right, so let's go narrow gauge passenger. And what is this? Colorado and Southern.
Okay,
nice.
So you hit download.
So this site uses Google Drive. Most sites just download straight off them.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up, minus. So you're gonna get a CDP file here. That like content download pack, something like that. I think that's what it means. Or a compressed download pack, something like that. So I'm gonna go on to Tane. Oh, it might take a while to load up. I haven't started in a while. There we go. So manage content. So yeah, there we go. It's finished. So open up my downloads, content manager, and then you just it doesn't. Why doesn't it want to? So you move. So you just drag it over and put it in.
I see.
And then it'll start a download process. I'm just going to cancel that because it might lag out my computer right now.
Right.
And then it just does that. And then if there is further missing content.
Oh, you there? I think we lost him for a second.
On it, and you could see if you missing
it. Hey, your screen.
I think it froze for a second.
Yeah, your screen stopped. You stopped sharing.
So basically, that's all it is. You just drag it over, put it in, wait for the download to finish. If it's missing any content, if it's missing any content, you go and find it in your manager, and you
okay. So
you right click on it and you look at missing dependencies, and it'll show you every single asset that asset requires. If it's missing, it'll tell you it's missing. It'll tell you the ID of the QID. It's a little ID number. That
So,
it's a little ID number unique to the content. It'll tell you what that is, so then you can go look for it. Or if it's on the download station, which a lot of it is, you can just download it right there.
okay. So the download station is the bridge between the train simulator and the actual file that you downloaded, then, correct?
Yeah.
And so when you download Trains, that'll be like a separate program that's on your computer.
Nope. It's just part of Trains.
So
you just open it up, and the launcher, it's on the launcher, and then you either start the game, you go into your settings, or you manage content.
Okay, I see. And then from there, from whatever you download, you just basically drag and drop the download in to the content manager, upload it, and then now that's available on your Trains game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
This is vastly oversimplified. There are entire hour-long tutorials out there for this sort of stuff, but the base level stuff, anything on Jointed Rail, anything on any of the sites we've talked about here, I've made sure to make it the most user-friendly sites that I know of.
Right.
I'm pretty sure all of the sites that I've recommended thus far have all you just download the stuff and you just put it right in. There's nothing more.
Nice.
You put it right in, and if it's missing something, you just download it right there. Like it's not, you don't have to go looking for it.
So do roots work the same way then?
The roots do, but roots often have asset requirements. Like a train will have something like 20 dependencies. A root will have sometimes 2,000 dependencies. So it gets really, really complicated when you're downloading.
When you say by dependency, what do you mean? Like a part of the software that has to?
It's another asset that the content requires. So this like a Steam engine, you've got the file, the train itself, and then you've got like things like the drivers will be a bogey with to like, that's how the animations and stuff work.
Right.
So the drivers have to be a separate asset.
I see.
And most content will have multiple dependencies, even if you don't notice you're downloading them.
So, but the thing is, you're not for the average person that's just trying to download a train onto their game. They're not worried about the dependencies. They're just downloading the engine. All that stuff automatically just gets downloaded, doesn't it? You just
if it's available. If the game can find it. If the game can't find it, you're gonna have to go looking for it yourself, and you're gonna have to do the process that I just showed you for the stuff that it requires. And this is where a lot of people get turned off of Trains, is that this is unique to Trains. You don't have to do this for Open Rails. You don't have to do this for Running. You don't have to do this for Train Sim World or Train Sim 2021. You just download it and it's all right there. Because Trains it's user driven. It's really just kind of, here's the software, do whatever you want with it, is their philosophy. In fact, most of here's one of the kind of shady things about N3V games. Most of the content that comes with the game was made by someone else. I don't think they've ever made their own route. They just make the game, and then they're like, hey, you guys make good stuff. Can we take one of your routes and put it in the game for our next release? Then they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Or they're like, no, and then they just take it anyway because it's their game and it's in the user agreement that they're allowed to take any content they want, which is kind of shitty. But what's nice is that there is the limit on what you can do in Trains. The Trains is really just what your imagination is and what your abilities are.
I see.
They're like Dovetail. Yeah, they are kind of like Dovetail. The N3V games is kind of just like Dovetail, but more competent, business-wise. There's not a huge difference between the two of them. The only reason why I haven't disowned them like I've disowned Dovetail is because they're Like their user support is a little bit better, and the game is just feels more polished.
It seems to be a lot more open source content for trains as well. That you're not there's not a $7,000 library of stuff to buy if you really want to make the game.
It's probably in the tens of thousands of dollars a library, but the thing is, the library is their sites that I've shown you there. You're spending, what you're doing is you're spending that money and you're getting that content, exclusively that content, and you're paying it only to the people who made it, which is usually just one or two guys. Like in KNL Trains have I sent you KNL Trains, by the way? That one's another one. I don't think you looked at that one. That one is another one that's going to blow your mind. They are exclusively Steam guys. Actually, no, that's not true. They have like 2 electrics.
So
But that whole site is run pretty much just by Steve Laro, and every locomotive. So here's the thing about why I don't mind paying $15 for that, but why I do mind paying $15 for Train Simulator 21 content, because that $15 is going to pay for Steve Laro's meals. It's not going to Steam. It's not like Steam taking a 30% cut and then Dovetail taking another 20%, and then the developers get to split the remaining 50% between them. It's your money goes straight to that guy, and he exchanges that money for the product.
I see. AWP290 says he plays Train Simulator 2019. He says the game's enjoyable. He said their locomotives are absolutely beautiful. I think he's referring to.
Let me guess. You just got the AWP 290 they made like a couple months ago, right? I'm 100% guarantee he's got it. And if he doesn't have it, he's getting it right now.
Let me do this. So K Trains. Let me go back over here.
Trains.
So let's pull this up. And so real quick, there's one other thing I want to bring up, because I'm looking at the difference between the standard edition and the platinum edition of Trains 2019. So the unified driver / surveyor interface, is that like the difference between being outside of the cab and looking at the trains and actually being inside of the cab?
No. It's just that's what I was talking about earlier with the driver mode and the builder mode. It combines the two.
Oh, I see.
So if you want, as far as I'm aware, it's still kind of buggy and still I've never played with it, so I don't know what the game is like, how the game plays with the unified interface. I've always played with the separate interfaces. So to me, and like for any of the videos you're watching, like the experience is going to be the same if you just get the standard edition. I would recommend just getting the standard edition, because let's be honest, like I'm seeing a couple Train Simulator familiar guys. Let's be honest, the content that comes with the game is not why you're getting the game. You're getting it for the stuff that we've looked at today and the many other sites that are out there.
So there's really no advantage to having the unified driver surveyor interface? Like that's like totally useless?
I'm not gonna say that, but it's not necessary. It's not essential to the experience. It's a very recent addition, and it's not.
Well, I guess it kind of depends on what experience you're looking for, because from what it sounds like, if you're into building routes, but you also want to be able to run the trains while you're building the route, that seems like that would be kind of essential, would it not?
I'm going to be getting the Platinum Edition, I think, because I do a lot of route building, and that's going to be really handy to just be able to switch like that and be like, oh, that spur line looks a little bit wonky. I wonder how the trains run on it, and just put down just like a little mogul and just run it to the end of the line right there without having to save and go out of the game and come back in as a driver.
So that's incredible. Okay, so that's a huge thing that you would miss out on if you just had the standard edition. Because think about it like this. Let me throw this in there real quick. What it sounds like to me is, because I understand what we've been primarily focused on is just running trains, but the longer you spend with the game, you're the more likely it is that you're probably going to want to play around and experiment with other aspects of the game. It sounds like to me, if you're wanting to play around with the route and actually see how the trains look, kind of like if you're on a model railroad and you're laying down track, you want to see if everything's going to run smooth. This is the digital equivalent of that. You're testing this basically gives you the ability to test your track in real time without having to do a bunch of extra steps. Plus, it's going to integrate in some additional content that they're currently working on for later on down the road.
Multiplayer and stuff. Yeah. I don't know what that content store downloader thing is. I haven't looked into that. Unified camera options. I haven't. The unified driver surveyor interface was the main one that they were advertising. I don't even really know about the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Platinum Content Edition bundle. That's like it just says that, but that's like 10 routes that comes with it, I think.
Yeah. Well,
one thing to be wary of though is when they're saying it's on sale down from $280. When it's that much of a drop in price, that usually means that they're currently developing something right now that's like going to replace it.
Yeah.
So that could that to me, because that the thing is that this is going back, because this sale has just been a permanent sale for like a year now.
That's how it is with a lot of indie games. The sale price that they give is not they never charge that much.
Yeah. It's 50-50. Either it's just kind of like, oh look, it's a sale, but it's just the regular price now.
Typically that's a marketing tactic that you use to just get people to buy the game.
Or it could be an indicator that Train Sim 2022 or something like that is coming out soon.
You get to pay $279 for it.
No, don't ever buy the collectors or the platinum edition of Trains unless it's like on sale like this, because you're wasting your money. You're not even going to use that content most of the time.
Right, unless of course your one of your main goals is to build your own routes. If you're looking to build your own routes, then yeah, you need the platinum edition.
No, you don't. No, not at all. I build all of my own routes, and I've never even heard of Unified Driver Surveyor interface. There's
I thought that's what you were saying was the big thing that they were adding.
It's already kind of in the game. It's just there's a loading screen, and I guess that gets rid of the loading screen. When you edit your route, there's a quick drive button right up there, and you click that quick drive button, and what it does is it automatically saves the route, automatically generates a session, and then just immediately puts you into the cab of a locomotive that you've put down. So the transition, because there's technically 3 modes of gameplay in the game. There is route building, session building, and driving the trains. The route building the route and the session building are the same thing. It's the same interface, but it's what you're doing under the interface. So everything you do in regards to trains, in what the trains do or where they're placed on the route, is on the surveyor layer. Assuming you have your layers in order, that is, you can sometimes screw up the layers and cause yourselves all sorts of headaches in the future. But if you're on the basic level, everything you do with the terrain, you build a mountain, that's on the route layer, and then you put down a train on the tracks, that's on the session layer, and then you click quick drive, it'll generate a session and it'll put you on that train, and then you can drive it. The whole process, like, you can go from one to the other in about 30 seconds. And this just makes it faster, and you can just switch back and forth without having to save and load and all that other stuff.
I see. Okay. That makes sense.
So that's what I'm saying, is it's really cool, but it's still in development, and it's not actually a very huge step up from what's already there.
And so real quick, you said the three modes of play are what again?
There's building, and then there's driving, and then building is separated itself into session building and route building. So if you just want to download routes and then run your trains, you go into the route and then you go build a session, and it locks off all of like the controls to work on the route, so you don't accidentally
Delete
like
something.
you don't click on the wrong one and then like accidentally delete a tree and then cause all sorts of like corrupted files down the line. Like you just put down the trains, it just saves the session, it doesn't do anything to the route, and then you can just run the trains off the session.
I see. Okay. Let's check out this KNL trains real quick and see what we got on here. Oh my god.
Yeah, we haven't looked at them yet.
Let's you're required to log in. God dang it.
What, you are?
Yeah.
To view the content, not to
just to view it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's new. I can just share my screen and look at it because I got an account.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me go back.
One up.
Steam.
Let's just do that. You see this?
It's loading in now. There we go. Oh wow.
So these are the projects. These I don't think any of these are even started yet. But let's go. If I just go to Railroad, I think it'll just show me everything. So Railroad, and like if you just look at that, like hold on. Railroad, that is all of the railroads. That's not counting individual locomotives for those railroads.
That's insane. So wait, go over
75 they've made so far.
75 pages, right? Is that
it's results 1 to 12 of 75.
Okay, I see. I thought that was. Oh wow.
Like if you're into Chesapeake and Ohio, this is your site.
Oh wow, we even got the Mikado. Oh wow.
And if you're into Pennsylvania Railroad, this site is required. Canadian National also, like the Huds the
462
the Hudson tank engine. Like that is such a cool and unique engine.
That's sharp. Wow, there's a lot of stuff on here.
I think this is in
a lot of Canadian
got the Selkirks, some Frisco. Greenbrier here. I noticed someone mentioned the Greenbrier on there. I don't know if he was referring to this or not, but it comes with the whole set too. It's not just the engine. Here's the thing. Steve Laro told to me, yeah, and here's the thing. It's showing the engines here, but all of the content released after about like say around this point, or probably around this point, has always included something to go with it, and a lot of stuff before it too. Like the Hudson here comes with the whole 20th Century Limited. It's not just the J3A.
Bro, you know how quick I can spend $100 on this website? This is wild.
I probably have around $200 with their content, and I haven't even scratched the surface. Like, it's like Pennsylvania Railroad. If you were into Pennsy, this site is a requirement.
Sounds to me like we need to start getting the business of having digital models, like having a digital model store. That would be neat. That's so wild. Go to the freeware real quick and see what's under that.
The freeware stuff is mostly just what? Okay. Log in. Docs my email address there.
TSG Gamer said I'd probably buy all that stuff without even realizing it. Like, where'd my money go? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Steam.
So Pensy coaches, Pensy cabooses.
It's basically a Strasbourg starter pack is what it looks like.
Yeah. Well, if you're into Strasbourg, dude, this guy's got you covered.
Yeah. This is.
I think he's got.
And he's got roots and everything on here, right?
Like tourists. Strasbourg. No routes, but he is partnered with Jointed Rail, who do make routes,
So
and he makes content for them.
let me ask
So
you.
he makes the trains, and they make the routes. This is what I was talking about earlier.
So let me ask you this question
These are all
real quick too, because off stream, you and I were talking about one of the largest routes, which was the Pensy route. Where would you go to download the routes? Because we focused a lot on engines.
Eastern region. That's for Open Rails. I don't know where that is. Where are they again?
I'm sorry, Chad. It's kind of blurry, but we'll.
Oh, is this it right here? Oh, they released a V2? 2 gigs. Length of mainline 1000. I don't know what that means. Apparently, if you laid all the track end to end, this route would have about 3,000 miles of track.
That's insane.
It is one of the largest routes.
Is it free
or any simulator ever made? I'm gonna be honest with you. It's been hard to track down a download link for. This guy usually has download links in his videos. Let's see if he will have anything on here. The sad thing about Open Rails is that they actually don't have a whole lot of Pensy Steam.
Also, this is
they've got these the i1s here.
That whistle's not that great.
Well, here's the thing. It's accurate.
Is it?
That's the i1 SAs had those horrible banshee whistles. They also had
different than that.
They also had the 3 chimes. Like if you get the K&L Trains version of that same engine, it's just as horrible sounding, because that's what it's supposed to sound like.
But wait, hang on a
second.
Apparently the drivers. This Pensy route. So this is only for Open Rails.
MSTS2, like Microsoft Train Sim. If you have a copy of Microsoft Train Sim, you can get this. Or I'm pretty sure it works on Open. Oh, it does work on Open Rails, because this is an Open Rails video. Sorry.
Okay. Do they have the download link for this?
Available at trainsim.com file.pr east v2. So if it's on trainsim.com, then yeah, it's free. So if you look around on trainsim.com, just look up the download for it probably.
But unfortunately, that's not going to work for Train Simulator though, or not Train Simulator. Trains.
No.
Era.
No, none of the content. Unfortunately, no content for one simulator works for the other, unless it's like a backwards compatible simulator that's specifically designed to run the content.
Right.
Because the source files are just like the core engine for these programs. They're just so vastly different that there's just no way you would be able to run one on the other without a huge conversion process. People have converted MSTS content to both Trains and to Train Sim 2021, but it's a headache to do.
Right. Anyway, but that route looks like
it might be on here.
But that route is only going to be for the Open Rails.
Yeah. And like I said, Open Rails doesn't have a huge amount of Pensy content. Like
now, if you want, you could do something wild, like take a Daylight download and run it on your Pensy route, right? You want to do something crazy and ridiculous like that?
And the thing is, it's not just Pennsylvania. They've got like CNJ on there too. I think maybe a little bit of Erie as well. Like they've got pretty much all the railroads that have like interchanged or crossed over the Pensy. They'll have a little bit of that trackage too. MSTS. Right. Oh my god, my typing. So I've got the Decapod, and there's a K4, and Well, they got a Camelback on here. Yeah, it's pretty much the I-1SA and the K4, and then this really ancient duplex that doesn't look very good.
Right.
Oh, and a switcher.
So
it's sad. We got all the trains for trains 2019, and we got all the track for MSTS, but we don't have anything that has both.
Right, and that's what sucks, because it's just like I want those big routes, but it looks like the only way you can get the routes is on the older software.
I stopped streaming here. So there's one route for Trainsim 2021 that does pick Steam really well, and that's the Wasatch grade. It's, so far as I know, it's one of the only sim routes out there that models a real life mainline railroad during the transition to diesel. All of the other ones are modern. Everybody wants Donner Pass in the 90s. Everybody wants Horseshoe Curve in 2010 or whatever. You cannot find like mainline railroads, like the big guys, in the Steam era. And you've got like another one would be the Donner Pass one we were talking about earlier.
So is there a route for like any N&W lines?
Yep. There's one for trains, and K&L Trains has actually done a few Norfolk and Western ones. They've got the J, the Mastodon, and the Class A.
Okay.
And then there's a Y6B that's available for free on the download station now.
Right.
That route, the N&W route, I can't remember which one it was. Where's
so
Blue Ridge? Is Blue Ridge a town on the Norfolk and Western?
So let me ask you this, and then we'll probably wrap it up here. But let me ask you this: where can you download a lot of the routes for Trains 2019?
They're scattered around the place. The so let me open my thing here. I didn't put Trains Italia on there. That's weird. So the Roland's Pass one is on Trains Italia. Just put that in.
You put in Discord. Let me pull that.
A lot of them are on the download station. Actually, I got our routes of interest section here on my notes. So we already talked about Roland's Pass. The same guys at Trains Italia have done Sherman Hill and Donner Pass. The Donner Pass one is payware. The Sherman Hill one is freeware. Last time I tried to download the Sherman Hill one, it didn't work. The download link would not work for me. Cajon Pass is on the download station for free. It doesn't have a lot of dependencies either, so you can download that in an afternoon, and you can be running Santa Fe, Southern Pacific, UP. The sad part about that one is it doesn't have any of the yards. It's just the pass, so you're just running trains in you're just setting up the trains and you're running them in a direction, pretty much.
I see.
The guys we were looking at a while ago, Trains Forge, they have a few routes under production right now that look really good. But as far as I know, they haven't published anything.
Hold on, Trains Forge. Actually, Trains Forge was the best one. Well, one of my favorites that we came across today. Let's see.
They're actually that Cajon Pass one I mentioned. They're working on a backdate of that to the 50s.
Let's see. Where are the
yeah route? They don't have a route section because they haven't posted any of them yet. But if you go into the works in progress, you'll see all the routes that are coming up in the near future. which is quite a few actually.
WIPs.
I
see. Oh wow. Oh, that's
the Washoe Valley Railroad, which is I think that's Proto-Lanced.
That's neat.
There's a few that a few of the guys from because Trains Forge is kind of just a loose alliance of independent creators.
Mm-hmm.
So the creators themselves are individually working on routes that are eventually going to be on the site, but they're not on the work in progress page because for whatever reason, like they're working out the legal details and stuff of what they can and can't do and stuff. But this is about half of the stuff that they're working on. If you go onto the forums and you look for their like if you look for the Trains Forge forum forum, that they have a whole bunch of pictures of stuff that they're working on, and it goes well beyond what's on here.
Right. Nice, man. Well, here's the thing. I definitely knew a lot more now than I did starting out at the beginning of the stream. This is so immersive. It's a lot to kind of chew on. But I think what you did is you gave people a lot of really good resources that they can go check out, and that'll kind of lead them down the rabbit hole of where they can go, where they can find more content. But this is fantastic, and we know now really the best train simulators to start off with. Just to go ahead and try out. I might even download Open Rails tonight just to give it a shot and check it out and see, just to play around, because I think that's cool. And I might download that.
I completely forgot. We never touched on Run 8.
On what now?
We don't have to go into that one if you want to wrap this up, but it's a different train sim. It's much smaller, so it's a lot less to talk about, but it is sort of interesting too.
Yeah,
it's Frisco 1522 available. Yes, KNL Trains has done one, and there's also a free one you can get on the download station from like way back in 2006 that's been updated.
There's just so much free content on here. Like you can really just have a virtual model railroad and just go crazy with it. So
why do you think I've been calling it V-Scale?
That's neat, man. That's really neat. Cam, where can everybody find you if they want to like contact you for more info about V-scaling?
What's the best? I guess maybe my Facebook.
The book?
Yeah, Facebook. The problem is my name is really generic. It'd be really very, very hard to find me.
Just grab your Facebook link and I'll put it on in the stream right here. Send it to me in the Discord. Or actually, I guess I could pull you up myself on Facebook.
Yeah, because you got me.
Yeah, hang on, let me do that real quick. I'll pull up your Facebook page and show everybody. But yo, this is where you can find Cam. Now, do you plan on making any trains content on your YouTube channel?
Yeah. I do a lot of like most of it is like private behind the scenes stuff, but I do a lot on this game. For example, I want to get the exact number here. I've got 3 folders, count of 3 of screenshots for 3 different games. Last time I checked, I had over 640 screenshots for Trains A New Era. That's one of my. Oh no, it's 517. Sorry, 517 for that one. 86 for Railworks and 105 for Open Rails. Wow. And that's just screenshots. That's just me playing the game, and I'm seeing like, oh, that's really cool, and I'm pressing the screenshot button.
Right.
Thayer Subdivision Springfield, Missouri to Memphis, Tennessee main line.
So here's the deal, bro, and this is what I would recommend for your YouTube.
Randall, here's the thing. I'm actually right now working on a route that actually does Springfield, Missouri at some point. I'm not sure if I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to do to Memphis, but Springfield is going to be on my route, and I'm gonna be uploading it at some point.
So Cam, my recommendation, bro, you should start making how to content on YouTube, because there is none really on how to, from what I can tell anyway, or at least it's kind of hard to find. I
know a lot of good tutorials that I could like put onto a playlist and put it on my channel too.
That would be neat. That would be good. Are these kids gonna get run over by this train? What?
Oh,
like these people are just chilling on the track right here. Train's still coming. You guys gonna move? Like what? So what's going on?
He's just gonna go right through them. Like they're.
Well, okay, all right. I guess we removed them from the track. All right.
Yeah, that was a pretty slick transition there. he had to go out of the game and like go and delete those children, and then go back into the game and match the speed and the location of the locomotive. That must have taken that guy like 20 hours to set that up.
That's wild.
But the result is cool though.
Let me see, Cam. Let me also
Why don't you throw my Discord on there too? Because I check my Discord more often than I check my Facebook, I would say.
Discord.
So
do I have your? I mean, how do I do this? I'm not as familiar with.
I just right there.
Hang on.
I might be able to just post it in.
I got it right here. So anybody that's on the cord on Discord, you can add Cam on there too. And I'll throw that up in chat. Ask him any questions.
And while we're on this, I'll just go Graham too. So I'll type that out.
Put your YouTube channel as well, just in case you start. You make that playlist.
YouTube channel.
But I think it would be cool at some point if you did a series on how to get into Train Simulator. I think that'd be neat if you did that as a.
Yeah.
Is that your YouTube channel name? Is that your YouTube channel name you just sent in the chat?
No, like hello, this is my YouTube. Like if you click there, like that's my.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. I didn't see that in the. I'm on like 3 different screens right now. But yeah, that's cool. So everybody's got all your links to follow you. That'll be neat. So cool, bruh. Well, Cam, I want to thank you, bro. This is very informative. I'm low-key getting kind of hyped. I didn't realize how many options there were, even just for free content. But even the paid content is inexpensive compared to physical modeling.
I've only scratched the surface here. If like, don't hesitate to hit me up if you got any other questions. I'll try to help you out.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to say to close this out before we end the stream?
I've talked about so much here. I'm starting to run out of things to say. Just whatever you do when you're playing train sims, just make sure to follow the model railroader code. The number 1 rule is to have fun, and that's all that matters. So like don't be that guy that's in the comments of every video like oh, those are American cows and this is an Australian right, this is an Australian route, you're worthless, I'm never going to download this, nobody should ever like. Rule number 1 of model railroading and anything rail fan related is have fun.
But remember to nitpick everything and be a rivet counter. No. All right,
if that's what you like, go ahead, but do it on your own time. don't harass people.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. Cam, once again, bro, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to do this. Yeah, we're gonna have, yeah, man. Absolutely. We're going to have another live stream next week, next Saturday. I'm supposed to be doing it with Adam once again from the Brass Basement, Adam's Brass Basement. We should be talking the topic I want to do next week if he's available. He told me he should be, and it might be an earlier stream too. We actually might do it on Friday, but I'll keep you guys posted.
That's what makes it fun, though.
But we're going to be doing the how to get into brass, the basics of brass modeling, how to get into brass, and kind of talking about some of the taboos of brass. So that's something you guys are interested in. Definitely tune in next week. And yeah, we will catch you in the next live stream podcast. Peace, y'all.
Have a good night.